The price of Bitcoin is $26,900. The SEC will not appeal the court's grayscale ETF decision. Philadelphia's Fed President Harker advocates holding interest rates where they are. And the CME gap closed the day at $26,840. My name is Jordan. Welcome back to TMG Trades, where today we're going to be talking about what's going on in the world of crypto and how we can anticipate market trends that potentially could result in some nice profits going forward. If you are interested in that, then please do drop a like on today's video. Subscribe to the channel. Very important that you do. We're growing at quite a rate of speed these days, like 20 people a day. It's amazing to see the community growing. So thank you very much for that. Do drop a like, subscribe, and let's crack on. And of course, starting out today, Bitcoin's price, bit of a bad number, but it's not looking all that bad. And a few of you might be saying, but Jordan, you said you were doing daily videos, and this is only the 5th one in about 10 days. I was back at the track again. I do apologise. Racing race cars makes it very difficult to film videos on the same day because you end up so full of petrol in the face, you can't think straight. But I'm back to business now, and now it's time to get back to trading. What are the price levels of which we need to be watching on the price of Bitcoin? And what's going to happen this weekend? Well, a quick disclaimer. Probably nothing's going to happen this weekend. And of course, if you are interested in trading and you're in England, your government is full of Nazis and you're no longer allowed. So, disclaimer out of the way, our Nazi government here in the UK has been affecting the price of Bitcoin recently. There has been a large amount of stagnation due to a serious drop-off in the volume on price of Bitcoin. Why has there been a significant drop-off in the volume? Well, because the UK has been exiled from trading derivatives. That is a bit of an issue. There is a workaround. And if you join Crypto Saving Expert Plus today and you look in the Discord, you will find that workaround. It's pretty simple to join Crypto Saving Expert Plus. Anybody can join it. You're all very much welcome to join it. What is Crypto Saving Expert Plus? You can get education on here. Most of it is free, but if you want to learn, for example, front-end development, blockchain development, or crypto community or market mastery, like how to do trading and all this other stuff, you can join Crypto Saving Expert Plus. All you do is go on cryptosavingexpert.com, click on the Join CSE Plus button, scroll down on the page here, and find out basically which tier matches your requirements. There are discount codes in today's video description, 45% off and 65% off different plans. But when it comes to the price of Bitcoin, $26,911, what are we expecting from here? Well, let's look at kind of how the week closed. Of course, the week closed with a significant pump up the other day, backed up to $27,000, followed by an immediate drop back to the downside, where the market closed the day somewhere around these levels here at $26,840. We're currently sitting just above that level, but don't be expecting a significant move this weekend. However, a significant move next week seems very, very much on the cards. When looking at Ethereum right now, we can see that Ethereum, if it is to lose this level of support that we're currently sat on, it's going to be pretty nasty, because you would expect a drop back down to this level around here, and that would be to around $1,369. And that's when we're getting into like serious bear market territory. We've rallied out of the bear market, we're then going back into the bear market. To compare that to a previous scenario that we've experienced in the past on Bitcoin, if I am to go to the daily chart on Bitcoin, zoom all the way out and go back past the previous bull market, this is the previous bull market where Bitcoin's price went from $300 up to $20,000, back down to $3,000 here. Then we rallied out of the bear market. You had a great time for a little while, kind of like earlier this year, and then we went nothing but downwards for ages. But just bear in mind, these bear markets don't generally end without a period in time like this. This is a horrendous period in time. Let's measure how much Bitcoin's price dropped. That's $10,500, and I believe this is about $3,000 down here. The answer to the question of how much did Bitcoin's price drop is 61% in 27 days. Now, will the next bull market start without something like this? I find it unlikely. I feel like events like this are required. However, it's also important to take into account, when it comes to the price of Bitcoin, how long a period of time all of this was. If we look at the top, so basically, how long did it take to repass all-time high from when we reached it? So we go all the way along here, we measure that distance. It took us 1,092 days. So if we measure outwards now from all-time high. This one is a manipulated pump. We're going to ignore it. That's SBF trying not to get liquidated on his shorts. This is the actual real all-time high. This is the manipulated one that was kind of like a secondary pump to the market that kind of confused everybody. But if we can take from the first level here, you can see that we're currently only, 909 days. Now, 909 plus, and this is where this stuff gets pretty interesting, 909 plus to the next Bitcoin halving of 185 days takes us to a very, very similar kind of elapsed time period before you would expect kind of the same thing to happen here. Like this to then this. You get what I'm trying to say here. It seems likely that we are due a pump. Regulation has not been favorable to crypto, but it does seem likely that we are due a pump. So is it likely that Bitcoin just starts heading to the downside at these stages, or is it likely that we see a pump? Now, I'm definitely on the side of pump. To me, the side of pump makes more sense than any other side of the equation right now. Why does it make more sense? In short, it would be weird if we kept going down, wouldn't it? We've just not. The market's been different this time round. If we actually look at the drop to the downside, for example, we had a big drop to the downside. That was a 50% drop. Then we had a tremendous drop to the downside. If we actually measure the top to bottom drop here, I think it was actually quite similar to the previous bear market. A minus 76% drop down. Whereas if we measure the previous bull market down here and we go there, a minus 82%. So they're very, very similar in terms of the drawdown. So it does make sense for the bear market to be over if you say that this point in time is kind of like this point in time, and then say that we don't get some kind of major pandemic crash type thing again, assuming that doesn't happen, then we'll just rally back to the upside. Now, this of course was all caused by stimulus printing. Will we get that same stimulus printing? Well, we might be about to get a war economy again. And if we're getting a war economy again, then that means stimulus is coming. And if stimulus is coming and it's timing with the next Bitcoin halving, you know what's going to happen. It doesn't matter what people do. Ultimately, Asia and the Middle East is getting increasingly more unstable. That creates more power vacuums. It means that the dollar, it's just a mess, isn't it? But these messes do require borderless free currency. And I think that's another big thing for Bitcoin. You're going to have economies in the East, with hyperinflation. These economies will collapse. And what is going to fill that power vacuum? Bitcoin. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. So from that perspective, yes, I'm very much on board with Bitcoin for the future. But in the shorter term, thinking out, in a more realistic, can we make money from trading this kind of time frame? What is it looking like right now? Well, yeah, we need to break basically back above $27,000. We break above and close a daily candle above $27,000. We open back up at the highs and we go back up to around $27,600 up to this white line up here. If we fail here, this is where things for me get a little bit nasty because you can already see that we lost this level of support here. Quite a major concern, to be honest. I was going to say not a major concern, but it is quite a major concern. You can take different data points here and you can say, well, you've got these levels of support again that we're resting on top of. And these, you can always draw supports and you can see where they land, but it works. At the end of the day, it works. You can see that Bitcoin has formed a level of support off of this previous level of resistance that we broke above. You got to treat it as resistance here, and now we're treating it as support. Given that information, I just think that it's more likely that we continue to do nothing to the end of this year and we just continue going sideways and doing not an awful lot. I don't think there's a lot of opportunity to be had in Bitcoin. In Ethereum, I think there's an opportunity to be had shorting. When it comes to the value of the US dollar, that keeps on pumping, keeps rising. That's not the best thing for Bitcoin right now, but the stock market has been rising as well, and that is pretty good for Bitcoin. Now, interestingly enough, out of all of these things has come that the SEC will not appeal the court's Grayscale ETF decision. Bitcoin's price briefly spiked yesterday on the news that the Security and Exchange Commission will not appeal against their loss of the Grayscale Spot ETF case. What does this mean? Now, it's actually quite important news, so I'm going to read this pretty much in full. In June 2022, the Grayscale sued the commission for rejecting their application to convert their closed-ended GBTC fund into a spot Bitcoin ETF. The SEC lost the case against Grayscale in August, with the DC Circuit Court of Appeals saying that the agency's denial of the application was arbitrary and I can't even say it. The SEC failed to treat the spot ETF as equal to futures ETFs, and there was no justification for doing so. Grayscale's application for converting GBTC into a spot ETF was filed in October 2021. The SEC rejected the application, claiming that the products were not sufficiently designed to prevent fraudulent and manipulative acts in prices. Now, what does all of this mean? It means that now there's pretty much 100% certainty that a spot Bitcoin ETF is going to be approved. When that spot Bitcoin ETF is going to be approved, we know that there's huge institutional demand just waiting on the sidelines. Now, why would that institutional demand not buy into the price of Bitcoin right now? Why would those people not buy Bitcoin? Like, at the end of the day, if they know that their ETF is going to get approved, why wouldn't they buy it? Well, imagine you are JP Morgan. Do you want to be the custodian of billions and billions and billions of dollars of your customers' funds in Bitcoin that could potentially make you a huge target for a hack? Or would you rather own a right to a Bitcoin that is safely stored in a trust that is managed by a separate company that absorbs the liability for the underlying asset? You would much rather do that. You would much rather trade an ETF. You don't want to be trading the asset. You want to trade the underlying asset on a derivative, basically. And it's not really a derivative. It's more you just own the asset. You have a right to the asset, but you don't have to look after and maintain the asset. So you have a huge lessened liability. That's why all of these huge funds and institutions aren't buying into Bitcoin. They don't have safe ways to store Bitcoin, or at least they're not confident in storing the Bitcoin. They would rather that be done by an institutional fund that manages it, because they have checks and balances and because that's the way that things have historically worked. So given that this Bitcoin ETF looks like it's going to happen, I mean, $100,000 on the cards next year, absolutely, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. The real question is, what's going to be happening with these interest rates here? Philadelphia's Fed President Harker advocates for holding interest rates where they are. I completely agree. If not, start reducing them, please, because the second that interest rates start coming down again, we're going to start seeing the price of Bitcoin rising up significantly again, because if you actually look at the chart right now on the daily chart, or rather weekly, let's look at the weekly. So this is when interest rates were going down, and this is when interest rates were going up. If interest rates start going down again, Bitcoin will start going up again. It's just the way that it is. When you have less people keeping money in a bank, less people earning interest on it, there are more people looking for ways to invest that money, to make money with that money. And that is why you end up with prices of Bitcoin going up, because it is a somewhat speculative asset. Now, next up in today's cryptocurrency news, Ferrari now accepts crypto payments for its luxury sport cars. They are only about 2 years too late for the bull run, but Ferrari has partnered with BitPay, which is great news at the end of the day. Ferrari is now accepting crypto, so if you want to go buy a Ferrari, buy it in crypto. Now, finally today, I just want to cover the fact that XTP, 22 sats, looking really juicy right now, holding these prices really, really well. But overall, it's been an interesting week this week. I think we've got a lot of interesting things to come. I really do think that another bull market is on the cards at this point in time. I think it's just a waiting game. Like, the last 3 months of it, they're just always painful. I feel like the last 3 months of this bear market are going to be the last 3 months of this year. New year, new me, January, it's all going to kick off. We're going to make a fistfuls of cash, and or rather fistfuls of Bitcoins. And on that note, guys, do drop a like on today's video. Join the TMG Trades community. Make sure you are subscribed. I'd really, really appreciate that. And of course, if you are interested in trading, check out the information in today's video description for BYBIT. BYBIT is the best exchange. It's where I do all of my trades. Check it out. Have a great day. See you in the next video. Goodbye.